My name is Adriana covarrubias and I am doing my presentation on brownfields. To start my presentation, I'm going to give you a little story that explains a little bit deeper how brownfields affect us and our community. Once upon a time, there was a monster trapped inside of these lethal and dangerous buildings located in every corner of the world. Now the world is sick and slowly dying. It started off with companies carelessly and ignorantly leaving their industrial site behind, not knowing that they're creating a monster that is set out to silently and slowly kill thousands of people each year. These sites are known as brownfields. One by one, people living around brownfields inhale the toxins and their health is at risk, yet they have no power to take these evil monsters down. While we sit around and live life, residents around brownfields are dying, as well as the world that we live in. We act as we care for the environment, but one of the main contributors are brownfields. As a person that has family living around brownfields, this is where my interest came about and why I chose to do my final project on this subject. So, brownfields. I wrote my letter to Miss Carol Ellen. She is in charge of the air quality in the Bay Area, and she focuses on the toxic evaluations. She is also part of the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. And my letter is as follows. Dear Mrs. Ellen, I'm writing you this letter to inform you about my greatest concern regarding the brownfields in the Oakland area. My name is Adriana covarrubias and I live in Chino, California. The reason why I have taken the time to research about the brownfields in the Oakland area is because the majority of my extended family lives out there and they are currently being affected by them. Brownfields are properties which were once a home to a viable commercial or industrial operation. But because there is no longer an adequate market demand for the operation, the property still sits idle. Brownfields are becoming more and more apparent as the economical status in California continues to decrease slowly but surely in the Bay Area. Many people that live by brownfields aren't even aware of the dangers that are putting their families through just by residing by them. Because all these families don't know about them, they aren't looking for solutions to fix these problems that have linked to many health concerns such as lung cancer, asthma, and birth defects. Like I mentioned earlier in this letter, the majority of my extended family lives in the Bay Area, and an area that they are very familiar with is called Fruitville Bar. After the city officials started to renovate the area of abandoned commercial buildings, the city created what now is called Fruitville Village. Since you don't know much about brownfields, I'm going to give you an analogy so you can paint a better picture about what these monsters can do and how they affect so many innocent people. If you could start to imagine these so-called brownfields, like if it were a person who was a heavy chain smoker, and this person was giving you a long ride, and the driver was eager for a cigarette, so he lit one up with the windows up. The air conditioner was on, and instead of clean air circulating inside the car, the fumes of cigarettes started to consume every single spot of clean air in the vehicle, causing you, the non-smoker, to inhale all the toxins that the cigarette was releasing. Yes, the cigarette is a symbol that represent these brownfields, and the person that was driving the vehicle was the business that abandoned their commercial site. Imagine yourself back when you were a child and stood by someone that was smoking, but because you were an infant, you symbolize the minority families that are just getting by with supporting their families that surround these monsters. Your infant self is very defenseless and doesn't know how to fight against the person that's smoking, so you're left to suffer. This scenario that I have just played out for you is a perfect example of what brownfields are and how they affect us. I have already seen how a few states have started to look into renovating these brownfields, such as New York. However, it is taking them a little longer to actually initiate the change due to politics. A large part of the $2 to $6 billion cost from brownfields programs will be distributed across the state of New York. California needs to start to focus on these issues. What better way to start a trend than to clean up one of California's largely populated areas? The government officials that are in charge of controlling the air control like yourself can start to find new ways to contain the pollutants that are hurting hundreds of people. We need to revitalize the abandoned sites that have such big potentials of being beneficial to the city of Oakland and to the residents that live close by. Since CO2 is one of the greenhouse gases, a way that we can start this huge project can be by greening up these vacant locations, because it will help reduce the amount of CO2 that is being emitted in the air. It is an energy issue because businesses are always being started and are always being ended. But when they end, their lots become vacant. Each business that closes accumulates pollutants. If the government were to handle the lots one by one when the businesses were closing down, they would be able to control the air quality. I hope you take this matter into deep consideration. Thank you for your public service. Adriana covarrubias. And just to conclude my presentation, it's an energy issue because, like I said in my letter, businesses are always being started, and when they end, they have vacant lots that accumulate pollutants and are hurting the community, and just that the government needs to control the air quality around these brownfields. And thank you very much. That was my presentation.